I would like to briefly tell you the activities that have been happening at NaFIRRI, which have led to the availability of these atlases that we are launching today. I'd like to mention these activities are occurring to make sure that freshwater biodiversity data in Uganda is accessed for use in decision making. That is the long-term goal that we are working on. So these activities started around 2017 and they are mainly three. One is that we have been organizing all data on aquatic biodiversity into accessible formats. So if we say aquatic biodiversity, I would like to indicate that we are working beyond fish. We are working on other taxa like macroinvertebrates and zooplankton. Now, we know when we get this data, when we make this data accessible, and not everyone can use the data in its primary form. And that justifies our second activity, which is very important. We also get this data, use it to develop biodiversity information and products that can be applied in advocacy for conservation, in capacity building, and also in conservation decision making. And all these activities need skills and knowledge. So capacity building for biodiversity informatics is also an important activity that we undertake. These activities came along because we realized that data was in formats that cannot easily be accessed for use by, let's say, researchers, people who work in conservation organizations, and even policymakers. Here I display a few pictures that illustrate this point. For instance, on the right is a picture taken from a library here at NaFIRRI. So most of the data used to be in files. And if you visited us looking for data, we would send you there. And that one was not present because in most cases, getting this data would be costly in terms of resources, rather than financial resources and time. So these activities are very important to make sure that data and information becomes available for the users that it is supposed to do. Yeah, we've been doing a lot, and now I'd like to highlight the notable achievements that we have gotten. One is that we established the freshwater biodiversity portal for Uganda. That one was in 2020. That is when it was launched. And it's an online platform that provides easy access to all the data and information on biodiversity in Uganda. Some of you may have visited it, but here I also display the link that you can visit to look at it. Another achievement that we've made is the first national red list for the fishes of Uganda. Like our colleagues are emphasizing, when you are conserving something, you must be having adequate knowledge about it. So before 2023, we did not have a national red list, which is a very important tool for knowing which species need urgent conservation. And this one was launched in March 2023. And that is also an important achievement that we count on that can guide anyone. It can be an individual, an institution on which species of fishes to conserve. Another important achievement is that as an institute, we have obligations to the country, but also to the global stage in terms of multilateral environmental agreements. One that we can cite is the Global Biodiversity Framework, which has an important target that asks everyone engaged in biodiversity research to ensure that there is available data and information and knowledge that is accessible to decision makers. So these activities and the achievements I have highlighted have made us ready as NaFIRRI to accomplish this requirement. We can ably say that in as far as freshwater biodiversity is concerned in Uganda, we have the best available data and information and knowledge that every decision maker can use to make sure that the interventions they are considering for conservation are adequate. It is also important to note that we have been taking some effort to document our, some use cases where our products are used. And we are happy to report that our products have featured in the reports of the National Environmental Management Authority to the CBD, the Convention on Biological Biodiversity. We have evidence that our products are used in teaching in the tertiary institutions, especially in universities. And we also have evidence that our data and products are active in advocacy. Here, a case that we can cite is of an NGO called Africa Institute for Energy Governance that has gone directly into the freshwater biodiversity portal and picked data to raise awareness in relation to the pipeline, the oil pipeline that is being developed to connect Lake Albert oil resources to the coast. So they went directly and they used some of our data for advocacy, and that is exactly why we are producing these products. Then environmental impact assessments these days, you cannot see many that do not incorporate the national red list for the fishes of Uganda, and that one is very important. And then another important use where our products are being reflected is in research. And this one we are tracking it directly through the Global Biodiversity Information Facility, where we have made our data available also. And our data has been used in more than 50 publications, and that one is very important. So today we are excited to add another product, which is the photographic atlases of the fishes of Uganda. These ones are very important because these days photographic records of any species are very important. One, to guide conservation, but also very useful when you meet people who do not know a lot about fishes. They are one of the best tools that you can use to raise awareness. And that is why today we are bringing it to the public so that they can start that function. I would like to give a brief on the major attributes of these atlases and then also the geographical extent that is covered. So on the atlases, we give photos if we have them. If we do not have them, we use dummies, and that is a gap that we shall be filling in the future. We give scientific names so that everyone can follow, even if they are not in Uganda, or even if they are not, they do not use English. These scientific names are standard that everyone can use. And then when the common names are available, we also give them. We also give information on maximum length to give users an indication of how big the fishes are. And then there's also an important attribute called origin, and this one is where we give information on whether the fishes are introduced, are native, or endemic. So introduced means maybe the fish was carried from another water body and put in another one. Native means it is naturally found there, and then endemic means it cannot be found anywhere else in the world apart from that area. And then we also have an important attribute called presence, and this one has the 4 categories. One is extant, and that means that we have evidence that in the last 30 years the fish has been seen in the area or water body. And then we have possibly extant, that is if we do not have evidence that the fish has been seen in the last 30 years. Presence and certain, we use it when the presence of the fish is not clear and needs confirmation. And then we use possibly extinct if the fish has not been seen for a long time, more than 30 years. But we still think that possibly if more efforts are made or undertaken to search, it can be found. Otherwise, we'll be saying seeing extinct. And then we also give conservation status. And those are categories that show the risk of a species to get extinct or disappear completely. The geographical extent, we are covering all the major lake basins in Uganda. Albert Basin, the main water body there is Lake Albert. In Shoga, the main water body is Lake Shoga. And then in Victoria, the main water body is Victoria. And then in Edward, the main water bodies in that basin are Lakes Edward and George. So that is the geographical extent that is covered in these atlases. So which means we cover the fishes in those water bodies, but also in rivers that flow from the land area into those water bodies. Thank you very much.